is a fear your brain refuses to forget. Not because it wants to scare you, but because forgetting it could destroy you. You don't remember when it entered your mind. You don't remember choosing it, yet it appears in your thoughts when you least expect it. In silence, in darkness, in dreams that feel too real to be imagined. This fear does not scream, it waits. It watches, and no matter how far you run from it, your brain keeps it alive like a secret it was ordered never to delete. This is not a story about monsters hiding under beds or shadows on walls. This is about a fear that survived inside the human brain long before language existed. A fear so old that your mind treats it as a memory even if you never lived it. And once you understand why your brain refuses to let it die, you may realize it's not protecting you from danger. It is the danger. The human brain is designed to forget almost everything. Faces fade, voices blur, pain dulls with time. Even happiness dissolves into distant impressions. Forgetting is how the mind survives. But there are certain fears the brain refuses to release, no matter how much time passes. These fears do not weaken, they sharpen. Neuroscience has a name for this. Survival memory. The brain does not store fear the way it stores facts. Fear is etched deeper, tied to emotion, sensation, and instinct. When something threatens survival, the brain marks it as permanent. It does not ask permission. It does not wait for logic. It burns the memory into your nervous system. That is why you can forget someone's face but never forget the feeling of being watched. Why you forget dreams but remember panic. Why some fears don't feel learned, they feel inherited. Long before humans built cities, the brain learned one lesson above all others. Survival depends on remembering danger. The brain does not care if the danger is gone. It only cares that it once existed. That is where the fear begins. People often describe a fear they can't explain. A sudden sense of dread with no visible cause. A feeling that something is wrong even when everything looks normal. This fear is not imagination. It is memory without context. The brain reacting to a threat it no longer understands but refuses to forget. Studies show that traumatic fear bypasses logic entirely. It is processed by the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, which acts faster than conscious thought. That means fear can activate before you realize why. You're afraid. Your heart races first. Your muscles tense first. Your breath shortens first. Explanation comes later if it comes at all. That is why the fear feels ancient. Because it is. Some fears were never experienced by you personally. They were passed down. Genetic memory stores patterns of danger learned by ancestors. Fear of darkness. Fear of being alone. Fear of being hunted. Fear of silence. These fears once meant survival. Now they linger without purpose, like ghosts of instincts that refuse to die. The brain does not differentiate between past and present when it comes to fear. When triggered, it reacts as if the danger is happening now. That is why nightmares feel real. That is why panic attacks feel like death. That is why the body obeys fear even when the mind says there is nothing to fear. The most disturbing part is this: the brain strengthens fear every time you avoid it. Avoidance teaches the brain that the fear was correct. That survival required escape. Each time you turn away, the brain records success, and success reinforces memory. The fear grows sharper, faster, louder. This is how fears become permanent. Some people try to suppress fear. They distract themselves. They stay busy. They avoid silence. But suppression does not erase fear, it buries it. And buried fear does not fade. It mutates. That's why certain fears return stronger in dreams during sleep. The brain removes conscious control. It replays unresolved emotions. Fear resurfaces without filters. Nightmares are not random stories, they are unfinished warnings. The brain is asking a question. Have you learned yet? But there is one fear the brain treats differently from all others. The fear of being forgotten. Psychologists discovered that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Being ignored triggers survival alarms because, for early humans, isolation meant death. The brain learned that being unseen was dangerous, so it remembers it vividly. This is why loneliness feels unbearable, why silence feels heavy, why being watched feels safer than being alone, why some people fear empty rooms more than dark forests. The brain equates attention with survival, and when attention disappears, fear awakens. In modern life, this fear has evolved. Notifications, messages, online presence, visibility. The brain now ties existence to being acknowledged. When attention fades, the old survival fear returns, but the brain doesn't understand why. It only knows something is wrong. This fear becomes louder at night and quiet. In stillness, when distractions stop and thoughts echo, is when the brain plays old alarms. That is when people feel watched even when alone. That is when imagination fills gaps left by memory. The brain refuses to forget fear because forgetting once meant extinction. And extinction is the one thing the brain will never allow. Some neuroscientists believe fear memories are never erased, only overwritten, meaning fear is always there, waiting beneath layers of calm. Trigger the right sound, the right smell, the right silence, and the fear returns instantly, unchanged by time. That is why certain sounds freeze you, certain places feel wrong, certain dreams repeat. The brain remembers something you don't, and it refuses to explain. The most unsettling discovery is this: fear memories do not fade with age. They sharpen. As logic weakens, instinct strengthens. As control fades, fear gains authority. The brain trusts fear more than reason, because fear has never lied about survival. This is why horror works. It awakens dormant fears the brain recognizes instantly. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to instinct. That feeling in your chest while listening to a story, that is not entertainment. It is recognition. Your brain knows something about fear that you don't, and it will never forget it. The fear your brain refuses to forget is not weakness. It is a survival mechanism that outlived its purpose. A warning system trapped in a world that no longer matches its rules. Fear is not always about danger. It is about memory, instinct, and ancient lessons written into your nervous system. Your brain does not ask if fear is necessary. It only asks if forgetting is safe, and it always answers no. If this story stayed with you, that's not coincidence. Your brain recognized something familiar, something buried, something it refuses to let go. If you want more stories that explore fear, memory, and the hidden darkness of the human mind, subscribe and stay close, because the scariest stories are not invented.